past the actual going live part.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Oh, something changed. There we
oh.
go. Now we got a clock. There we go. Live. Okay, that's good. I mean, I think it was probably live the entire time. I think YouTube was just being a jerk.
Ah.
All right, now I just have to wait for the preview window, which should kick in any second now. Come on. Come on. There we go. Okay. All
Attaboy.
right. That's what we needed right there. All right. So, I hope that everyone's having a good morning. It was a little bit slower to get started this morning for some reason. I mean, I understand that myself a little bit. I'm sometimes slower to get going. If you've been listening, you've probably been hearing two voices, and that's because we have a special guest here, not here in the studio, because this is A, my dining room, not a studio, and B, social distancing. We've got Sam Lenz, live and direct from his paint dojo over in, it's about 30 minutes away from my house. But yes, we're here
A
today.
stone's throw.
A very far
away. I can throw it that far.
Oh, nice.
Well, maybe if it was a touchdown pass.
Yeah, I could see that. Alrighty, so we've got people in the chat. Let me see here. We've got people coming in from Belgium, and I saw some Germany, Washington Heights, New York. We've got Normandy. I see VJ Morph.
Hey, VJ.
We got Tim Albers.
Bridgewater, New Jersey. The great unchained one appears.
There you go. Absolutely.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Huzzah.
Absolutely.
Pachow. Pachow to everyone and all.
Pachow. There you go.
With you as well. Emily, there she is.
For some reason, I can put my mouse over your face. I don't know why this is, but I can. I don't mean to. It's just the pointer keeps going in the wrong spot. All right, I'm going to move it over there. VJ Morph says that Sam, your Vegemite is on the way. So.
Oh God! Thank you. I mean, yeah. Can't wait to
Brazil,
take that trip.
We've got Arkansas. We've got Qatar, Edmonton,
Denmark, Indiana, Rochester, Pittsburgh.
It's a rainy one here today. It's supposed to rain a couple of inches. Actually, it's probably gonna make my basement all damp. So yeah.
Oh man. That's coming along, though, the basement project.
Yeah, it is. That's good.
I was there maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah,
I think you were still Beasts of War, Adam.
No, because I started this. I started this in 2013.
Yeah.
So I was still. Yeah.
Did some gaming, and I painted down there next to the drain.
That's right. Yeah, there's that drain in the middle of the place, and that's
Yeah.
Let's see. We've got someone saying, greetings from the Nerd Bunker in Nova, painting wood elves for Blitz Bowl today. Got to listen to Sam on the Battle for Salvation Warhammer Underworlds podcast earlier this week, and it was great fun.
Yeah. Heck
How'd that go?
I had a blast. I like those guys. I started listening to the podcast because I was playing the game, and I found them. And then I became like buddies with Randall, one of the hosts, going to conventions and stuff. And
nice.
I don't know. He cracks me up, and I don't know if he knows that he cracks me up, but I'm a big fan of Randall.
Nice. We got moderator Matt in the chat.
So that's baby.
Yeah. Greetings from the Netherlands. Made dinner and lunches for the whole week, and so I could enjoy listening to you guys and paint for the next 2 hours. That's a good use of your time. You're a very good planner.
God Morgan. Heter Sam Lenz. Talk. And that's all that I know. Thanks, Duolingo. Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Hello to both of you from Dallas. It seems I got a great day to finally catch the show live again. Yeah, this is a good day to tune in. I will be very honest, the technical difficulties have been sort of, I mean, obviously lots of people do this type of thing where they talk to, somebody else and all that stuff. But I always wanted it to like kind of look a little bit better because that's kind of what my stupid hang up and whatnot. One of the things that helped is that so Sam's on Discord, and Discord works better than some of these other things. And now Discord will allow you to make it so that the person who you're talking to can see XSplit, which is the software that does all this stuff. And so otherwise he'd be seeing nobody on this side, because that's the way. So it's some updates, thankfully, that have made it now so that I can probably do this a little bit more. It's also become a bit more necessary, obviously, with all of the lockdown quarantine stuff.
Adapt and survive. We still got to make that content, baby.
Absolutely.
So
we'll be probably doing some more of stuff like this. It'll be a lot of fun.
Heck yeah. People
Sunny
from
Arizona,
Preston, England, Derbyshire, UK, and everywhere. This is so cool. I wrote down a bunch of talking points, and one of the things I wanted to talk about, wargaming as Fight Club. We have people
as Fight Club.
Yeah. So I'll put this into a joke form. What does a, let's see, Army veteran, kid in middle school, man who's preacher, what all these people have in common? They all play Warhammer. Or
sure.
I need to work on my selection there, but you see the joke. Three's are best, but people through all walks of life, and it's a connection, that forms unlikely friendships, and all the best people I've met are through this hobby. People like you, and so it's just a beautiful thing, and it's funny to compare it to Fight Club. We've got an underground connection and movement going on. Here we are.
I mean, it's underground, but it's getting less so, I think, because you're seeing, people who are like, the guy who plays Superman in The Witcher, like he's painting Custodes now.
Hank Cavill.
Henry. And I mean, it's so you're starting to see like other people do that kind of stuff, and you're starting to see tabletop gaming in general get to be a little bit more, I think, in the zeitgeist.
Oh yeah.
I wish that people liked us as much as they like puzzles right now, because you can't get puzzles right now. They are out of stock everywhere. But I mean, I guess I don't want that necessarily, because I want to be able to go buy games. So if all tabletop war games were out of stock because everybody was sitting at home building and painting, I'd be a little bummed.
Yeah,
I would feel of two minds of it, I guess.
It is cool. He's the Henry Cavill thing, boosting the signal and just getting it out there. It's a very rewarding meditative activity.
Yeah,
and
no, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that for years.
Yeah,
that's the whole trick.
Man,
we've got Lincoln, UK, Joe Orthober.
Hey, buddy,
also,
Joe.
Greetings from rainy Door County, my fellow Wisconsin hobby heroes. How's Joe doing? Yeah, it's again, like I said, it is awful damp out. Let me see here. What else have we got?
Oh, we got Malev. Yeah, the official Henry Cavill will swing in on my Twitch sometimes. I've had official Keanu Reeves as well. Official Shakira. It goes on and on.
Sure. Yeah. No.
I'm glad the director of like Star Wars or whatever. I don't know that guy.
George Lucas.
I don't star. No. The TT.
Taika Waititi.
Yeah, I fucking chopped that one up, chewed it up. Yeah. I don't know the guy, but yeah, that popped in too, and I had to look him up while I was streaming, so I knew who it was. I was like, don't want to be rude. I see Zambi's in there too. I got us, and Zen for one. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thank you all for everything.
Let's see here. Get J Solo Arts saying love to Door County. Well, that's fun. So what kind of stuff have you been doing recently? Like, I know you're streaming on Twitch 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Like, if you folks out in the audience aren't, I don't know why I looked this way at you, because the chat is there, but that doesn't make any sense.
Out the window, yeah.
Yeah, like, hey
you.
But you folks in the chat, like, if you like Twitch, you should go follow Sam and watch his streams. They're usually around 2 p.m. in the afternoon Central Time.
Yeah, so I think that's like 8 p.m. GMT. Yeah. I do that Tuesday and Wednesday now. I dropped the Thursday like a week ago because I started a Patreon.
Yep, Patreon.
Yeah, whatever the word is.
Yep.
I started one, and I need some extra time to make sure that that's a success. And maybe I can work more streams back in, but for now it's just Tuesday and Wednesday,
Nice.
2 to 5 p.m. Central. It's a good time. Sometimes I don't get much painting done, but we have fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it seems as if, at least amongst a lot of the people that I see paint online, as you get more and more popular, you end up having there's a lot more interaction with the chat, and sometimes a little bit less paint. It can be tough. I've seen it a bunch on Enie's stream as well. Enie Minis. Like, you know, she's been getting more people. What's that?
Pataron.
Right.
I just mispronounce everything on purpose. Yeah, Malev's got it.
But yeah, as it's been going, like as you know, you get more people to watch, it becomes like more difficult sometimes to, like, you really have to force yourself, I think, to get things done.
Yeah, and I don't want to skip anybody is the thing. I try to read every single comment, like Ron Burgundy. I just go through and say everything.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it takes me minutes to catch up sometimes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, just have to skip ahead. It feels rude, but I don't know. And then you've got like the random stranger that's going to come in there and be like, "Why is it taking so long for you to read my question? Scroll back up to my question. Me, boo boo." Anyway, it's fun.
A bunch of people are asking about where they can buy some Tau. So
oh, buddy, it's sold out. Woo! These aggressive sales tactics are a proven success. Crying at the top of your lungs really moves product, and it's all gone, man. I put myself on the line for you. That was to sell your Tau at the Bits Bazaar.
It was Adepticon like 2011 maybe, or 12 maybe. Well, I don't know. Sometime back then when Adepticon was still in Lombard, Illinois, instead of Schaumburg, where it is now.
The good times. Yeah. You could stay up and just drink in the hallway, and people were barefoot, and someone had a dog.
To be fair, I mean, most of that still actually kind of can go on. It's just that the Bits Bazaar is much different than it used to be.
Different rules at conventions, man. I remember like getting drunk in line one year. We got there, right on time, early. Just waiting to get our tickets, and ended up getting drunk with the people in line next to us. And yeah, it was like everyone's like barefoot, and there's dogs and like pink flamingos and stuff, and everyone's wearing their favorite nerd clothing, their best Doctor Who T-shirt, and
funny. This wasn't a Jimmy Buffett concert you were at.
I know it's very similar, but yeah, everyone's wearing their best.
Nice. So it was funny because the old days of like Adepticon, it was all about like you ended up like standing in line for like a really long time. And they have streamlined things now to pick up, like when it's time to get your badge, you are like, pachoo, like it goes pretty quickly, which is really nice.
Pachoo.
So yeah, pachoo, which is different than pachow. It's a speed thing as opposed
pachow to is there. It is pachoo is there. It goes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so it was it's interesting now, but it's I had this Tau, and I decided I wanted to switch over to Chaos. So I was like, well, I'll just bring my unpainted Tau with me to Adepticon and try to sell it during the Bits Bazaar. And back then, they would clear off all the tables where the 40K tournament was, like really quickly. They would just get all the terrain off, and they don't do that, I don't think, anymore. They don't take the terrain off every night. They just leave it up. But they would do that, and then people would set up all kinds of stuff that they brought from home, and then like sell it, and people would be walking around and bartering, and like you'd be trading shots for for like plastic, extra bolt guns and stuff like that, or whatever. I mean, it was just a whole thing, and it was a little chaotic, but it was a lot of fun.
That was the beauty of it, man. This was like a medieval market where you're just like,
right,
a scene from Aladdin or something. That's a good reference. But I guess eventually somebody sold the scenery off of one of the tables.
That's not.
I heard that's why they had to like clamp it down. So. One individual puts their needs above the group and ruins it for everybody.
I'd heard it was that, and it was also that some local game stores had just started showing up and bringing in a bunch of their like clearance stock. So it was designed for you to sell your used stuff or your unwanted stuff, and then all of a sudden like these stores would show up and just be like, well, here's a whole bunch of stuff that we're trying to blow out, and then it became less of I don't know. Then you get into taxes and
I guess they want it to be a trading event mostly.
Right, that thing at night, yeah. And they still do the Bits Bazaar now, but you kind of have to register. and you get a small little section of a table and stuff like that.
I went up there and just threw my stuff down on a table, and then like the dude came up and he's like, do you have this space rented? I'm like, what are you talking? No, what are you talking about? Well, this is reserved for a game, and you've got to like pay money to sell things at the Bits Bazaar, but I'd already sold the things I wanted to sell.
You're like, okay,
all right, later.
It's like $1. I mean, it's not like expensive to sell there, I think, but it's like $1 you get. I think it's last I looked, and I could be wrong on this, but it was like $1 for a table. But if you wanted 2 tables, then it was considerably more expensive, and they were just basically trying to get people just to take $1 and then just set up their stuff.
Yeah.
I remember last year a guy had an Imperial Knight, and it was sitting there, and it was painted not well, but I was like, well, it's already built. Maybe I could do something with it. I could like just prime over it and start painting over it, whatever. See, and I went up to him and I was like, yeah, how much is because he didn't have a price on it or anything like that. Nobody really puts well, sometimes people put like little price stickers like it's a yard sale, but I was like, how much is the Imperial Knight? And he's like, oh, it's market price. And I was like, and I thought to myself, I'm like, is it perch? Is it walleye? Like, is it lobster? Like, when you go into a restaurant, sometimes, like, they'll have, like, this particular fish is market price. I'm like, what's market price? He's like, well, whatever it is, retail. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to pay retail for a kind of poorly built and painted knight.
Yeah, you already ruined it. You screwed it up with your paint job, and you can't charge market price.
Yeah, I was looking at it from the aspect of like, well, I'm going to have to strip this. I think he was selling it from the aspect of like, well, look, it's already painted. You don't have to paint it now. I've saved you a bunch of time. And I'm like, but did you though? Did you? So is that.
I would always, I liked pricing my own things. I just wrote minus whatever the price was. -10, -5. It's a good way to look at your wallet.
Yes, exactly. How much money do you have? This is 5
-100.
Yes, there you go.
Kevin Peters.
Hey, there we go. Alrighty, nice. Let me see here. People asking about the hat. The hat thing has just sort of appeared in the Twitch chat.
Spicing, man.
Or did you? No, the hat thing. How did the hat thing go?
It's
the wicker hat.
I was at Nova Open last year. And I took a trip into the city with some other boys, and Devon Marr. He's a popular guy. He's very chatty in a good way. So people kind of know him. But the whole time he's talking about this outdoor walking mall. He's like, "Oh, you gotta go to the mall. Oh, it's so great. Go to walking mall." And like, I don't go to malls. There's nothing I need or want from one. And I was like, "Man, they got some of that wicker. They got any cool wicker? I love the finest braids." And I started going on, and then another guy, Sean, was with me. We both kind of wanted wicker hats at that point, and it just seemed like the ultimate accessory and staying calm, cool, collected, comfortable.
It is hot at that time of the year in DC.
Yeah, man, it's got a nice. Yeah, it's very breathable. I got some feathers in it, and I just became a kind of a symbol of this relaxed lifestyle. And I kept talking to Sean about it and about ways we're going to decorate our hats, and we're all going to wear them at Adepticon next year, and he's going to put snake skin on his. I'm going to get pheasant feathers. And then I was like, well, why don't I just make this a contest at Adepticon and have a Tabletop Minions competition, and everyone wears their crazy wicker hats to make myself feel more comfortable in this dorky hat. I'll get other people in on this. And I just get a dumb idea and then lean into it, basically. I'm like, yeah, this is bizarre. It'll be funny. And now I love it. And when I put it on, it's kind of like the movie The Mask. Like, it enhances your calmness or whatever's inside of you, man. It's going to magnify it.
Yeah. And now it's even an emote on your Twitch chat. Like, people can, if they're...
Yeah. I didn't have any ideas. I was like, hat? Good.
I've used that emote in other people's chats, and then people are like, I don't know what that is.
I know it's not all my emotes are like too small and detailed to like be recognizable.
Well, I think people can see what it is. They just don't know why. Like, why is it a hat? What's going on there? And I'm like,
oh, why is the sky blue? Why is the grass green? Why is
exactly? Yeah.
Yeah. Why you ask so many questions?
Exactly. Yeah. We've got people here from Belgium and Austria. What else have we got?
Man, worldwide phenomenon.
Indeed.
463 people from all around the globe in every time zone. We're traveling in time as we're talking.
That's true. That's a good
yeah,
point.
Crazy.
Yeah. Hey, there's Kathy Wapple. How you doing?
Oh man, I finally caught James Wapple's Twitch stream yesterday. Holy pachow! It was great. I loved watching him work.
Yeah. I think that it's like partially by necessity. I think that it's a great time for people to be spending maybe a little bit more time on places like Twitch and on YouTube and things like that. And so it's cool to see like people like yourself, people like James, people like Kathy, people like all kinds of people doing like really good work, and being able to share that like really well with people all over the world. It's a ton of fun. I've been watching more Twitch, honestly, like because I used to I watch your stuff, and I watch Eeny Mini's stuff, and I watch Malev from time to time, and just depending on like 'cause the one downside that I find sometimes with Twitch is just that like because it's a live medium, like if it doesn't fit in your schedule, it's a little bit more difficult. You can go back and watch a VOD later, but sometimes it's just not quite the same. I don't know why.
Yeah,
but
and sometimes you have to be there for a while to really understand like what's going on. You tune in the middle of some long-winded story or something, but
sure, yeah, exactly. That can be problematic as well. So, but yeah. So anyway, it's just I think it's a really interesting time now to see this kind of stuff, and I think that as a person if you're getting into the hobby, it's a great time to be able to go and watch some like interesting content and see not just like techniques and ideas and things like that, but also the personalities and the thought processes behind it. Because a lot of times, and I've seen you do it, I know that you will be like, well, this is why I think I'm going to do this next step. This is why I'm going to do this and that kind of stuff. And and that's just as helpful as like, this is how you dry brush. You know what I mean?
It's the challenge of imagination. I can show you how to do something, but why? Right. I can explain to you how to do a flip, but why would I want to do a flip? Because it's awesome, and here's my approach to it. Or better yet, color theory. But yeah, and just kind of balancing those decisions. At this point, most of the things I do, it's a single miniature, so it's just kind of touch and go. It's like I feel like I need more of this color in there to get this warmer atmosphere up top. Yeah.
It's been interesting lately. The majority of the stuff that I've been painting has been groups of one-offs, which is sounds weird, but like I've been doing these war bands where they don't like nobody matches. It's not like
the Spice Girls. It's like a group of individuals.
Exactly. I've been painting the Spice Girls a lot lately. But yeah, so the idea basically is these war bands. It's like it's a group of individuals, and I'm doing them all at once because I like working in an assembly line. But like this guy's pants are blue and this guy's pants are green or whatever, and so you're not going through and I like that, but there is sometimes something to be said about I don't know, like when I was painting those stormtroopers and all that stuff for Star Wars Legion, like that's a lot of samey over and over again. But I think that sometimes it's I don't know, it's almost like comforting to just be like, okay, now we're doing kneecaps, or whatever, and you just do boop 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 down.
It is.
Yeah.
The beauty is having variety in all things. There's never any one way that's going to be the most like, this forever. Yeah. It's funny. I made a video on my Patreon about the challenge of the imagination is what it comes down to at a certain point. Sometimes a better idea personally for me outdoes a better paint job. If I see something like that's why I like a lot of the Blanchitsu stuff, right? You see a lot of soul in that, and it may not be. There is almost a technicality to it. There's a kind of a deliberate execution and look they're going for. But yeah, the beauty in that is the imagination. I'm like, I would never think of it that way. Yeah. And I also see that on a lot of high-end painters that I respect. Like Roman Lapat's my constant example. His some of his builds and the bases things he puts into it. It's just a beautiful concept.
Yeah, I think that like. For those in the chat that are watching that don't know what like Blanchitsu is, so there's this artist that worked for GW for years, and I don't know if he still does anymore. I think he still does, yeah.
He does, yeah.
But his name is John Blanche, and he's you can spot his stuff real easy when you see it in different books and things like that. It's a very kind of sketch style, and there's a lot of almost little chaos going on, and it's kind of
He's
a lot
done
of
like
watercolor and
multiple
ink and stuff like that.
Multiple 40K starter sets. The cover art for them. I think he's done like 3, if not 4.
But he also has this he's a big fan of this very like almost post-apocalyptic sort of kind of real grungy sort of look. And for a while, I don't think he does anymore in the new White Dwarf, but for a while he had like a column called The Joys of Blanchitsu, I think it was called.
Yeah.
This was maybe 3-4 years ago. It was this column in White Dwarf, and he would show off like conversions and paint jobs and stuff like that. And so like Sam and I and some of our friends have been kind of messing around and trying to make these little war bands that are very kind of like in the style of Blanchitsu. It's a lot of conversions and kit bashing and stuff like that. So there's lots of videos out on YouTube and story and stuff about how to like do how to do that style and things like that. But it's really interesting too, because you look at it and it's like it's not about like how perfectly proficient your wet blend is. It's more about the idea behind like what you did. And you basically just like stippled with a brush to make this particular like look, but it's because you did it that it looks more gritty and pigmented and grungy, and that's what makes it more interesting.
Yeah,
more on point.
And there's still like some direction in mind. It's not just like I'm gonna throw paint and see what sticks.
Yep.
But yeah, John Blanche is, I think right now he's like the art director of Games Workshop, and maybe he was early on, but he's kind of the reason why everything has skulls, wings, and checkers, and
sure
looks like weird gothic biker kind of, like punk rock, the older 40K stuff especially, but it still is, shined through. It's I think it's part of the look. But yeah, the guy is an icon, man. Living legend.
Yeah, it's been fun. Like I've been loving to do not that Mad Cat says I wanted to get into Blanchitsu, then I wanted to get into Grimdark. I mean, they're kind of, frankly, a bit one and the same. In a lot of situations, but at least in my mind. But yeah, I've been like wanting to do more Blanchitsu is what got me into enamel washes. So like because I just liked two things. Number one, I liked the look. Like that real warm kind of grungy stuff that gets into all the crevices and stuff because you've wiped most of the rest of it away. And 2, it's also super speedy. Like it goes really quick. Like you can, it's like a hack almost, because you can just like paint something like very almost no blending and just like, okay, I'll just base colors, it's great, and then I just spray it with like streaking grime and give it like 3-4 minutes and then take an old t-shirt and just wipe it away, and then you get into some little spots here and there, and then you're like, boom, it's done, next model. And it's really nice. I mean, I've said this a bunch of times, I have to make sure I don't do it on every model now because I don't want to just become a one-trick pony.
Right. But, it looks when so you're good,
it does. It works out real well. So
man.
But yeah, it's fun though. John Ashley Smith says, got to download those Planet 28 rules. Only 16 pages, I hear. That's my next battle report. Actually, is going to be Planet 28.
That rule book you showed it to me looks really cool.
I have a printed version right here, as a matter of fact.
Speaking of all that, old school kind of early days of Warhammer.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of the artwork looks like it. It's kind of black and white. It was a Kickstarter from a guy over in the UK, and so there was a printed version that you could get as part of the Kickstarter, but otherwise the PDF is available on Wargame Vault or Wargames Vault, and it's a pay-what-you-want kind of thing, so you could download it for free if you wanted to, and then go back and give them a couple of bucks, or you could give them a couple of bucks right off the bat or whatever. But,
that's so good.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a cool little simple system. You generally, I was telling Sam this earlier, you play with generally as little as like 3 to 4 models per side. So it's kind of cool. Matt Werner asks, how do you thin streaking grime? What ratio, if any? I don't thin it at all. I just take it. I've got a little glass pipette thing. I drop it directly into my airbrush and I just spray it on. Depending on how dark you want it to be. Like if you really coat it on there, that's fine. Or you can be a little bit more kind of light with it. but that's just like if you put it on there real thick and then give it 3 to 4 minutes and then start wiping it away, you'll get much darker, much more contrast too, because you'll get a lot darker stuff in the crevices. But if you want it to be a little bit more subtle, then just don't spray it on as hard. If you decide to use a brush instead of an airbrush to put the stuff on there, you can. But then I think you probably would have to thin it if you wanted it to be more subtle, because otherwise, when you put it on with a brush, it just goes on, obviously, So, anyway,
better to stay on the cautious side and add too little than too much. So, just gradually cranking the heat up. I've never used the stuff. I went to get it, and my brother bought it, so I couldn't get it. But they had one bottle, and anyways, that's what I usually general advice for a lot of things. To find out how much is enough instead of grabbing that perfect medium amount, just put on too little, and then you'll find that amount that afternoon.
Yeah, it does take some work to sort of figure out a little bit, but not too much. I've honestly been pretty happy with how quick it's gone. I know that, like, I was at first like, oh, I'll use a Q-tip and get in there, and a Q-tip just immediately turned to just garbage. Just like you just start going a little bit with the Q-tip, and also it's just like it's all over the place. So I don't use Q-tips anymore. But I do, like I said, I use like ripped up pieces of old T-shirt, and then I will go back if I've got like some spot I really need to be clean for whatever reason. I'll go back with a brush and a little bit of mineral spirits, and then just sort of like kind of go over it and then wipe it away a little bit. Like you basically clean off the brush. You put some mineral spirits on there, move it around, clean off the brush, suck up the stuff with the brush, and it works out pretty well.
Yeah. Oh man, I ordered oil paint last night. I just remembered
that.
Yeah, like midnight. And if anyone out there needs a T-shirt to cut the sleeves off of for the Streaking Grime, you can get an official Tabletop Minions shirt by clicking the merch bunker link below.
That's true.
Cut those sleeves right off top for sale. I'm here to shill out for Adam, so he doesn't have to.
Well, you get T-shirts too on your Big Cartel site and mugs.
Do. Yep.
Indeed.
I've got everybody else's stuff. I got Scott's shirt on and Brent's cup.
Nice. David says that harder Q-tips for makeup is key. Can't use the fluffy ear ones. Yeah. I actually went on to Amazon or eBay, and I bought a bag of these weird Q-tips that like come to a point, and they are a lot harder, and they're not bad, but they're honestly so hard that I feel like I'm going to scratch the paint off. So what I've been doing with them, if I need to get in some little tight area like underneath an arm or something like that or whatever, I will just take my fingers and just squish the top a bunch and just sort of start to bend it a little bit so it gets a little softer, and then I can get in there and I'm not so worried about the paint. But I did. Like someone mentioned that, like the two weird things I bought from Amazon recently that someone mentioned was these weird kind of pointy Q-tips, which you should not stick in your ears because they will kill you just outright, which you don't want. And then I bought, yeah, exactly. And then I bought the little, and you probably know about those little cups that you put your tattoo ink in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I bought like a bag of 1,000 of those for like $12 because so frequently when I am trying to like use a wash that does not come in a pot, it comes in a dropper bottle. I don't like to put it on my I don't know why. I just don't like to put it on my wet palette, so I just put them into those little cups. I watched what's his name? Kenny Boucher over at Next Level Painting. He always uses the caps from water bottles.
Yeah.
He must drink a lot of water bottles. Like I never drink water bottles. I got one of them Brita pitchers, and so there's no caps that I ever have. But he saves all those caps, and then he uses them for mixing washes, mixing glazes, and all kinds of stuff like that. And I was just like, I need little cups that I could get a bunch of, and I'm not going to drink bottled water because I just have a Brita and I don't need to.
Yeah.
And then someone in the chat was like, those little cups that they use for tattoo ink, and I was like, and they're like wicked cheap if you buy a whole bunch of them in bulk. So
yeah. I like have a bunch of those. It's like, yeah, I should pull those out. I've got like these little, we've got some various cups and stuff, different airbrush cups and all that.
Well, because and I don't know if you still do as much anymore, but you and I met because of tattoos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have all the equipment. It's a fun, like, art form to work in. But yeah, I'm not trying to go out and become Kat Von D or something, or tattoo sell my soul to do a bunch of butterflies and and fake tribal and stuff.
Yeah.
Did all that. Found Warhammer instead. Yeah.
Probably like, I don't know, 2000. When the heck was it?
I think that was 2000. So I think it was 2009 or 10, because I won my first Golden Demon in 2009. Put that up on the shelf on display at the Art Walk that month, and then you came in and saw the models. But you had been in there because you were a client of my boss, Claudine.
Yeah,
had work done from her.
Well, because we were. I was getting a tattoo, and I was sitting there, and Claudine was doing the tattoo, and then I looked across, and you were like cleaning up your station or whatever, and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, "Is that a golden demon?" And that's how we started talking.
Oh yeah.
And then, because it was also right around the time that it's not the new edition anymore, but the third edition finally of Space Hulk came out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you connected me with Eric, the cameraman, at the conventions.
Yes, he's the guy that he and I go to Gen Con together, or not Gen Con, sorry, Adepticon, and frequently he carries camera stuff and whatever. But yeah, and so you painted his
Space Hulk.
Space Hulk, yeah.
Yep. I painted.
Have you done?
But starting out, I'm like, $15 a piece.
Sure, yeah.
On those models, I just spent like 4 or 5 hours on like each one of the Terminators.
Yeah. They look gorgeous. They really do. And have you painted you haven't painted another Space Hulk since, have you?
I did later on for Darren, and I did the Lamenters scheme. I did like a yellow, green Gene Stealers. It was for his son, and for his son's birthday, and his son said that these guys look like losers.
What, he doesn't like the color yellow? Is that what it is?
Yep.
Jeez, that's rough.
The mouths of babes.
Yeah, indeed. That's true. But yeah.
Yeah, man. And then I've talked about this before, but you were like, you want to come to these meetups we have at the comic book shop? It's called Tabletop Minions. And that's where I got in touch with Kevin, the owner of Flying Phoenix Games, a store we both go to, and started doing commissions for him and hanging out. Yeah.
Because we used to get together on like Tuesday nights and just sit at the comic shop, because there was no game shop in town yet here, and so we would just sit and like hobby at the comic shop, and he was fine with it, the guy who owned the comic shop, and so we would do that, and I was like trying to start this club, and I called it Tabletop Minions, and then it just it didn't kind of pan out or anything like that, and then in 2013 when I wanted to start doing the YouTube channel. After working for Beasts of War for a bit. And I interviewed you on Beasts of War at Adepticon when it was still back in Lombard, at least 2011 or 12 sometime, as I think when I interviewed you. And so when I wanted to start a channel, I'm like, what am I going to call it? And I'm like, well, I still got the domain and the website and all that stuff and everything, so I'll just call it that. And so that's where it worked from.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Dude, oh my God. I painted a Tabletop Minions Marine.
Mm-hmm.
You can have it.
I've seen it on stream.
I don't know if you read into the information, but I was like, this is a gift for Adam. Like, I wrote that in all the posts and stuff, but
yeah, no, I saw it.
Until the next time we meet, but
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. No, it looks great. It's you painted it on stream. Well, you started painting it when the last time that you and I got together and painted at my studio to do videos, and it was
my fault, dude. I was not holding it into the range of focus.
The thing is that's going to fix that, I think, is now I've found out that the camera that I use above, there's an iPad app so that I can set it to manual focus so it won't like hunt and go back and forth. You know, like on cameras when they can't see something, they go back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah.
So I can sit there on the iPad but even though it's on manual focus, I can tap on something on the screen and it will focus at that point and then stop.
I'll use that sometimes on my camera. I know what you're talking about, that target locking.
Yep. And then that, and also I'm trying to figure out, because it's really hard for those of you who've never painted on camera before, it's very difficult to do, as it turns out, because like when I paint, and I got a model over here, when I'm trying to paint, I am trying to do it like this. And I know it's terrible, I know it's bad, but I literally paint like this. I'm like this close. Now try to get a camera in there. You know what I mean? Like I'll get my giant melon stuck in the shot. So that's one thing. So trying to find something, there's nothing at my studio right now that's great for elbows. So I need to figure out elbow support, and then I think that iPad app to help refocus and move things around, I think that's going to dial us in. Anyway, that's when you first started on that model, and then
I painted over it, and then because we were going to record it again or something, and then coronavirus broke out. So like, man, I just want to see this completed, and we can always go back and just paint something else. I could do another one of those models. Like, I still plan on doing painting with a pro, even though I have a Patreon. Some people might wonder that, but there's no reason to stop moonlighting on your channel. And
it's just fun. It spreads the word, that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, man.
And it teaches people.
Keep doing it for the reasons I started doing it. It's just to share the knowledge for free.
Yeah.
I had to cancel all my classes, so I'm like, all right, I'll start a Patreon as well and see how that goes. So,
because you were traveling a ton the last 2 years, like, you've been overseas, you've been West Coast, East Coast,
in the same
Canada.
month. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There was a crazy. A lot of people have seen that Miniac video, and so I was in Colorado for 4 days before that. I went and saw Wardruna play live, if you know that band, but then I missed my flight back, so then I had to book another flight at the airport. I'm sweating. I'm covered in sweat because I'm afraid. And so I booked this expensive flight, got into Minneapolis at midnight. Scott picked me up from the airport. Then I drove 40 minutes the next morning to go teach a class for 8 hours, come back, and then shoot that video the next day. So it was like, and there were multiple times like that last year where I was awake for like over 36 hours. It happened, I was like, oh my God, when I look back at that, it was crazy, man. I was stretched so thin, but I knew it would almost kill me, but I was like, all right, I have these opportunities. I'm just going to be everywhere at once and just cover as much ground as I can. And
it's a decision that you have to make. You have to, you have to decide, like, am I going to try to, like, make this work, or am I, because there's a lot of people that honestly are just like, I probably, there's a lot of people to be like, I can't, or I don't want to, or anything along those lines. And that's what, that's what makes it so that people stand out a bit more, is when you take the extra effort. I mean, extra effort's always important. But yeah,
it's on the funny side. It got a little. People are like, well, could you come like 30 minutes to the left? If you came 30 minutes to the left, I would gladly attend your class. I'm like, man, I drove 2 hours to get on this 8-hour flight. How about you meet me halfway? I totally understand. I'm just making jokes. But like, the year began, and I got Games Workshop was like, would you like to come to England?
Yeah.
I cannot say no to that. Holy shit. I think I asked him if I could swear on the phone call. That's how, like, out of it I was like, what? It's like I was talking to, like, my dad or some kind of adult or something. I was like, I'm on the phone with Games Workshop. But the whole year started, and I knew what I was doing until, like, September. Like, everything was plotted out.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Because they invited you over and a bunch of other pro painters to see contrast paint, and like before anybody else, like long before anybody else did, because that was like in February of 2019.
Behind the veil, I was outside. Exactly, I was inside looking out.
Exactly, yeah. And there was like a ton of other painters there. I know Chris Bellew, he was there. I talked to him a little bit about that afterwards. I think at Adepticon. There's a ton of painters there that I recognize, and so it was very cool. And then you guys learned about contrast and all that stuff, and then contrast came out in like June-ish. Yeah. Rebecca asked, guys, how is coronavirus affecting you? Well, one way is that you're obviously not teaching classes and flying all over the planet and stuff like that this year. I
had to pivot. It sucked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I had like 7 events set up. I was going to go to Adepticon and traveled all these places. It's like, finally, after working double hard last year, I can reap what I've sown. Canceled. So now when I'm like back to square one, I'm trying not to swear right now. I'm like back to square one. Pachow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I'll pivot, just adapt and survive. Honestly, though, I've been quarantined my entire life. I don't I was kind of set up for this. I'm fortunate that it isn't affecting me as hard as it is some other people. So.
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's a situation I think honestly of like I absolutely totally missed not going to Adepticon this year. That sucked. Like I had because I had signed up for the hotel room like right when they first opened up the block, and all that kind of stuff, and I didn't get 2 queen beds or whatever because me and my friend Eric usually bunk together, but I got 1 king
Like
bed.
a sniper team.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, well, all right, well, we'll figure. I'll call later on, because this was like in July of 2019, because that's how in advance they do the rooms. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just call later on and see if I can get it switched. So months and months and months go by, and then I'm like, well, so I call one day to try to get it switched, and they're like, yeah, no, we can't just switch that. What are you, crazy? I mean, she didn't say that. She was much nicer about it, but
like a
it's
fox.
like, yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh, well, that's more. I'm like, well, do you have any bigger rooms? And I don't know why I even thought to ask, but she's like, well, we have a suite. And then she told me the price, and it was like literally not that much more expensive, but it comes like with a kitchen and a fridge and the whole deal. And I'm like, well, heck, I'm going to do that instead, and then I'll have a party. So I was going to have a big party on Friday night and a whole bunch of stuff and have a bunch of
chili
lunches. Well, we've done that in the past, but I wasn't planning on it this year. But yeah, and then so I was bummed about that. I mean, they still haven't called off Gen Con yet, but I have a suspicion they probably will.
Yeah.
Even if they don't, I'm real nervous about going to it. I mean, 70,000 sweaty nerds in one big building is not a good idea in the best of times. I mean, it's for your health, but...
We already generate our own sickness by having a convention.
Exactly. They call it con crud.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean,
Just
but...
fact, man, I want to be there too, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But we're still hoping for Nova in September.
Yeah?
Still, maybe. I don't know. And then you and I are...
Fuck, I might actually go to Nova at this rate. If we'll see. It's like just taking it day to day. I just look at healthcare workers. I'm like, all right, how do they feel about this? I'm just going to make sure that they're okay and follow their suggestions.
No, absolutely. And then you and I were talking about going to a tournament, actually, in Northern Illinois. That's like in November, though, so maybe we'll see. That's called Holy Havoc. So Vince is trying to get us hooked up for that, to get us to come and play some Age of Sigmar in a team tournament.
Yeah, apparently Nighthaunt can team up with Stormcast.
Yeah,
they're
exactly. It'll be fine. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah,
as soon as old Star Drake is ready to rock.
Indeed,
I like that. My army.
That base looks awesome.
Oh yeah, man. This is probably just asking for pain and punishment. But, yeah, there's a whole. With these large bases, you have a chance to psychologically dominate your opponent by carrying a piece of scenery everywhere your model goes.
Right.
You force the narrative. You don't forge it. You force the narrative.
Force the narrative. That's exactly. That's a good idea.
Going. Because all my models are painted and yours are gray.
Do you does he come off?
No. So yeah, he is attached, but
okay.
The wings are separate. Some of the plates and the rider. So.
Like, is painting underneath him going to be difficult, you think, in that situation?
Yeah. I can get in there. I'll just lay on my back.
That'll be fine.
If I can see it, I can probably touch it with a brush. And this is not... The underside of it's unpainted. I don't care.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's more of a game piece.
Yeah. I'll try hard on the spots that I can see, and otherwise, yeah.
Yeah. No, I rarely ever paint my base separate from my person, and I'm also a big fan of, if I can't see it, I don't really worry about painting it too much. But again, I'm a tabletop painter, so there's that. But yeah, that base does look really, really good.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, let me see here. What else we got? Questions. David Moffat says, someone thanked me for my service yesterday at work. I guess bicycle technician is a close second to healthcare worker. I mean, I think that working at retail right now is also, it's a bit of an issue. So there's, I can understand that.
WWF is essential, or E or whatever,
yeah.
in Florida. So I don't know who's to say what we all need.
I thanked the kid at the grocery store yesterday because I went in there and I'm wearing my mask and all that stuff, and he was using the squirt bottle and like cleaning off all of the carts. And I needed
Yeah.
a cart, and so he's like squirting carts and stuff, and then he like gave me one, and I was like, "Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much." And he was like,
Yeah.
"Okay," and then went back to squirting. So that's absolutely
That's a good boy there. Keep on that squirting there, boy.
exactly.
Mighty fine. Put a shine on that cart. But yeah, I appreciate that. I made eye contact with the mailman and didn't break for a second. I was like, ah. Like, I don't know what. I wanted to say thank you, but I just tend to just overreact in every situation. So
I think I have a
keep that on
package
a
coming
chain.
today. You just reminded me that I think I might have a package coming today. I should look real quick.
Hey.
So you use a Stream Deck, right?
Yes.
For when you're streaming. It's a little push button thing that is made by Elgato. And I think I have one coming today.
Ooh, dude,
Maybe.
those are so fun. Like, we all criticize shock jocks, and then as soon as we get a mic and a couple effects, we quickly intersect everything with air horns and toilet flushes. Yeah.
I am totally wrong. It's coming Thursday, which, these days the mail. Who knows when it's going to get here, which is understandable. But yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess I could put some funny noises in. I don't know. I'm mainly doing, like, right now what I'm...
You mean like the trumpet vapor or whatever, the trombone,
like,
I think.
Yeah. Like, all the buttons that I've got available up here, you got to click. I can do this thing and then that thing. And then
That'll work right now. Let's see if I got the scream.
Yeah. But it's...
Did that come through on your end?
No, it did not. It did not.
Okay. I heard it.
It's probably not going through Discord, so that's probably part of it, because it's going through Twitch. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, it's just I don't know. Because I'm and I was telling you this a little bit earlier too. I'm looking at I'm thinking about starting to do some hobby streaming, maybe like one day a week, like Friday mornings or something like that. So on Twitch, not here on the YouTubes. So yeah, I've got all the stuff, and part of me getting back into basement cleaning mode, which is what I did a good portion of yesterday with my wife, who I appreciate so much. Part of it is because I want to get I'm in the dining room, and I have been here in the dining room doing this for as long as I've been doing it, and I want to get down in the basement and do that down there, because it would just be a bit more convenient for, say, everybody else who isn't
down in the basement, throw my weight around.
Indeed, yes, yeah.
Meat.
So I'm looking forward to that too. So yeah, that's in theory coming, and that's why I've been buying some equipment here and there and all that.
Oh,
kind of
really?
stuff.
You're gonna start buffing up? You're gonna get swole with me?
No, I was talking with Twitch equipment, not this kind of equipment.
Thinking about bodies.
I have an elliptical in the sunroom, so but that's about it. I don't have I don't know that I could do. Well, maybe I could. I don't know. I have arms. I guess I could technically lift things.
That's the spirit, man.
Yeah. If you have arms, you can lift things. That's exactly how it works.
Yeah, all it takes.
Let me see. What other kind of questions and see.
Someone is asking what metal I've been listening to recently. I think that's a very important question.
Indeed.
Mortiferium and Tafos from Denmark have been getting me off. I listened to Diocletian Decimator album yesterday. Lots of war metal like Revenge, and then of course softer music like Steely Dan. And I guess you did ask for metal, but I'll shut up now. But it was like a Waylon Jennings record behind me.
What's the one? What are the guys from Madison?
Ossuary.
That's it. I can
never
remember
it. Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt Sears says we'll be hearing about the basement in 2021. Well, now I'm gonna totally do it faster, just in your face, Mr. Sears. Let me see here. People talking about Vince and all of his working out. I don't know what that's
buff, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, well that's good. Sorry, I moved the mouse. It was on your face again. For some reason. Yeah, it's flying around over here. But yeah, I don't know why that is. Well, anyway. Let's see here. people are fans of ossuary. Moderator Matt has posted a link to SteelyDan.com, so we got that going for you.
Oh, the song "Dirty Work" by Steely Dan never lets me down.
Yeah, no, that's. God. When I was in college, I took pictures for a band that was made up of all music majors, and there was like a dozen or 14 of them in this band, and they did like early Chicago and like Steely Dan covers, which you need.
Like, yeah, Chicago is like
you need like a dozen people to do that anyway. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Men selling ice cream.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking more a lot of people to make that.
25 or 6 to 4. Like, I like that song, but everything else kind of early Chicago, not so good. Anyway, but like they had a horn section and all this stuff and everything. And the hardest part was trying to get 12 to 14 music majors to all show up to anything at the same time ever. Like,
oh my God.
Even gigs. It was like impossible. So I would show up and I'd be like, where's this person, this person, this person? Like, I'd be taking pictures. And they're like, yeah, they couldn't make it. And I'm like,
it's a team of all captains. Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
I'm the major.
Exactly. Yeah, so it didn't work out, unfortunately. But, it was fun to listen. It was fun to listen to, especially when we were practicing and stuff.
Heck yeah. God, if someone was playing live Steely Dan, I would lose my mind.
Oh yeah, I mean they were good at it too. It was again because they had horns and the whole deal, all that stuff.
The smoothness of Michael Fagan's voice.
This again was like in the early '90s when I was in college. So
God, they were ahead of their time. I didn't know what I was missing.
When were they? Aren't they from the '70s originally? Like wasn't it when they first kind of got big? Yeah.
Watch that. You ever watch that series Yacht Rock on YouTube?
I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it.
Check it out. It's just about all these joke skits about how all that kind of music came to be. There's all these like Michael McDonald, wrote the theme for Top Gun in this situation, and they got Steely Dan in there, and you can never understand Michael Fagan. He's always just like, and then the other guy like translates for him, and yeah, it's funny.
It was I watched a video recently, like for literally 30 seconds. Like there was somehow it came across my feed in YouTube, and it was something about some big boat, some big yacht. And I was like, what? And it's just one of those things where like the thumbnail is so confusing. You click on it and go, what the heck is this about? And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, great. So this guy's just literally walking around with a GoPro, like at a I don't know, like a trade show for yachts. And he's just like showing off the yacht. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then I did. Now I constantly get yacht videos in my feed all the time. They're like, oh, this $12 million yacht. I'm like, why can I? Like, if there was a way that you could tell YouTube, no, that was a mistake. I didn't mean to click on that. Sorry, But no, now I'm not getting yacht rock, but I'm just getting yachts, which is I'm like, It's ridiculous.
Not computer. You need to put a Tabletop Mains logo on the side of that tanker. We need a gigantic black and red galleon haunting the horizon of the seas. See, you have to know how to market things. I know how to sell out of my yacht.
Exactly. I could maybe get a rowboat and put a flag on it with the Tabletop Mains logo on it. I could do that maybe. I mean, both of us live very near a lake. The fact that we don't boat is because
could be lakesmen.
Because we don't like it. That's why we don't.
I do like the water, but it scares me.
Well, right now we have these things. I don't know. Do you guys get them up in Appleton? We have these things in Oshkosh that are called lake flies.
We're far enough away from that.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, we have these weird flies that hang around on Lake Michigan. No, sorry, not Lake Michigan. Lake Winnebago, which is the lake that I live very close to. And right around Mother's Day every year, and then there's another time that they show up again in like July, and they just lake flies. Like when I was a kid, I remember people who lived very close to the lake. If you lived like they would like have to shovel their driveway.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day. Keep your mouth shut.
Right, piles of dead bugs.
They have no instinct for self-preservation. They live for one single day. So you got these things that land on you, and they're not afraid. They have no fear in them. They don't know.
Yeah.
You're just like, you have to like.
Yeah, and they don't bite, and they don't do anything. Like they're just annoying, and then they die.
And they're just they're everywhere. You can't not like step on them. And
yeah. And they're just look up lake flies, Lake Winnebago, and then on Google if you're bored. But yeah. David says we get them here too. I think of them as free protein. I once was I was like in a school trip when I was like in high school, and we were on the bus, and for whatever reason the bus driver went through the park right by the lake during lake fly season, and we all had the windows up because it was just like a haze, you could barely see, and we saw a dude riding his bike through the park, no shirt on, and I kid you not, eating an ice cream cone.
No,
like it's just going to be covered instantly. It was absolutely disgusting. Like everybody's just like pressed up against the windows in the bus as we're going by. This guy's like riding his bike, eating an ice cream cone. I'm like, that guy is an agent of chaos. Like, that's like was this a plan?
Exactly. About this. Oh my god, what a.
Ugh, it was just absolutely. Yeah, it was not cool. just like as a high school boy being like, that's gross. Like that's weird when it grosses at a high school boy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Have you painted any lake flies?
Have I painted any lake flies?
You should. Well, aren't there like big bugs in Kingdom Death Monster?
Yeah, I should make a whole like lake fly themed Tyranid army or something.
There you go.
All
they would
gone.
just be kind of gray. They're not like even pretty bugs. They're just kind of
they're just pure like white milk.
Yeah.
No, I haven't done a lot of Kingdom Death is bizarre. My God, I've got to move away from this. The lake flies are too real for me. Everyone in chat's probably like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, exactly.
Man, you got no idea.
I'm looking forward to painting. You and I talked about this a little bit yesterday when we were testing to make sure that this whole technological marvel worked.
Yeah.
The big flying bugs, the Pusgoyle blight somethings.
Pusking blight goyle.
Pusgoyle blight lords, which are the big bug dudes here. So these are the Warcry cards. If you go with Maggotkin of Nurgle Rotbringers, that's a lot of words that I had.
Nurdle.
There. Yeah, the Maggotkin of Nurgle. If you go with that army in Warcry, you basically only get Putrid Blight Kings and Pusgoyle Blight Lords, which are the giant bugs. And I already have Blight Kings, but I'm looking forward to getting some of them big bugs.
Heck yeah.
And painting them out a little bit and making them look gross. I just love the like after you get done, like you paint everything and get it all done, and then you go and you matte varnish everything with my beloved AK Interactive Ultra Matte Varnish, and then it's going back in with the gloss coat in just the right spots, just to make things look like they're open wounds and wet and gross and stuff like that.
Yes,
that's one of my favorite parts of painting anything Nurgle. It's the last step where you're like, and now this is all icky.
You've got those matte areas and then the juice and then true metallic metals, and just looks so realistic. I think I'm gonna have to join you in Warcry and play Muscle Warriors. I mean Spire Tyrants. Apparently there's an army of just all dudes in like bondage gear. So I'm gonna do that, and you can have Minotaur in bondage gear lead them. So I'm gonna pick up my got this Ogroid prepped for a private lesson with a student. I built this base for the on Patreon.
Nice.
But and I got the Spire Tyrants and Dark Oath Warband because I wanted to make a diorama of just a pile of bodies with one, like I got that Dark Oath War Queen like rising above it all.
Yeah, with the big axe.
Yeah, and I wanted to so kind of messing with the framing, but I like those models. I could buy another box and paint up some Muscle Warriors.
Yeah.
So I ordered more Warcry guys last night too. I guess I kind of went on a spree.
Nice. That Myrmidon or whatever, the guy you were just showing there. I built him when you and me and Vince were on your Twitch stream back in February, just before everything went all pear-shaped. I was building that guy.
Yep.
And so I'm looking forward to painting him. I was just, as I was cleaning the basement yesterday, I like moved him into some spot where he wouldn't get like, put in a box or squished or whatever, anything like that. I did leave the shield off. I'm actually going to paint him in sub-assemblies for once, which I rarely do, but it's a big shield, so I figured it should be not too bad.
Yeah. I fouled the shield flat. I'm going to put like a burning sun with an eye inside of it. I want to get some little freehand demonstration for the Patreon.
Have you ever thought about, because you've done that a bunch, where you've like filed or shaved off the stuff that they put on the shields. Have you ever thought about like either working with one of your patrons who's into like 3D like computer sculpting and stuff like that. Like it would be cool to get shields made because you like to paint freehand on them. So
Yeah.
it'd be fun to get shields made and then like resin printed, like nice super smooth resin printed, that you could then use in projects and things like that. Get like a selection of them. That might be kind of a cool thing.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, a lot of the time I want more free space on
Yeah.
miniatures, just to, you could tell when something is sculpted with a painter in mind. I got a bunch of these Black Sun models for lessons and commission and stuff, but those also make a cool giant in Age of Sigmar. But yeah, there's so many flat open spaces to work in where you can really flex your freehanding skills. Like he's got a gigantic kite shield on his back that is all flat, and I'm also so you keep holding things up. But all my Age of Sigmar dudes, I file the shields down flat, and then I've got a little design that goes on there. Yeah, that would be cool. I should ask my patrons if someone has that ability, because
Yeah, I mean I think I was just thinking that would be something that would be like an extra like bonus for like painters, because you're right. Like GW specifically, they frequently put stuff on those things so that people don't have to freehand, because most people don't find that. Like I just did my first piece of freehand on a model recently, and it was okay, but it's daunting. So they mold that stuff on there. Like when you see those giant banners that like the Imperial Guard, like Command Squad, like that giant honking flag.
Yeah, big old
and
honker.
It's just, yeah, it'd be like, well, it'd be cool if they would also release one of those flags that didn't have stuff on it, so that people could then freehand some neat stuff on it. But
I know,
suppose,
and it looks better than decals. And what they want is for people to put models on the tabletop, some unknown, to see it and be like, that looks interesting. And yeah, just taking the guesswork out of it.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to take it away.
It is harder though, for people who want to do some really cool freehand. I mean, you could sculpt your own flag out of green stuff sometimes, but that's also not easy. Like especially something that large. Like small stuff is not that bad. Especially if you use the parchment paper. Like that's the pro strat for those of you that didn't watch the video sometime last year or whatever. You take the green stuff and you put it in between two pieces of parchment paper, and then you take like a rolling pin or an empty bottle of rye, whatever you got lying around, and you roll it over to make it nice and flat. And then it doesn't stick. It doesn't stick to the parchment paper. It's got to be baking parchment. The same stuff you use in your wet palette. If it's just regular like parchment that you get from the art supply store, it'll stick to that. But because baking parchment's got silicone in it, the green stuff won't stick to it.
Yeah, that was genius, dude. That helped me. I had been using baking powder or like flour or whatever, just to keep it. I'm treating it like a dough, like I'm rolling.
So the green
crust.
stuff wouldn't stick to like your saran wrap or whatever. Or that, yeah.
Yeah, that's one way I learned, and then another way I'll just keep dipping it in water and rolling. I'll use like my hobby knife or a pen without anything engraved on it. And you just got to keep dipping it and rolling it and dipping it. Then I have to wait 15 minutes so it's pliable. Then I can carve the flag shape out and wrap it around. I break it 3 times. It's tedious, but yeah, I forgot about your way. I did use the parchment paper way, and man, it really was a lot easier.
Well, that was the thing. The first time that I tried it out, I like rolled, and I'm like, well, I wonder if this stuck. And I just opened up, because I made like a little folder out of a piece of parchment paper, and I just opened it up, and it just slid out, and then landed on the table and stuck to the table. So I was like, okay, well, I'll have to fix that. But I mean, it was not that big of a deal, so it worked out pretty well.
Heck yeah.
Let me see what else here.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Says, I wish I was Adam's beard and Sam's long hair. I don't know if we mix that together. That would be weird. I am getting
perfect man.
I'm getting bushy. I haven't had a haircut.
I want the voice box of Adam, the legs of Matt.
So
you're on a belt.
What were you about to say before?
I was gonna say, like when we were talking the other day, I've been very war curious. I've got a curiosity for that war cry, my guy.
Right. Yeah. And I'm definitely looking forward to, hopefully we can get together and play again soon.
We were talking about the Spire Tyrants and all that, and I was asking you. So one thing that angered my adult baby brain. When I first looked at this card, I was like, why are these just symbols? I want words.
Sure, yeah.
Why does it just say attack and move? And I watched a how to play video, and I'm a little bit more interested now, but I still wish that the rules are just on the card for like the bonus abilities.
Yeah.
That's one thing that like War Machine, when they had cards, all the back of the cards was just text. I was like, awesome. Here are the rules. You curious about what this does? Like,
yeah, like
I like the War Scrolls as well for that reason. So sorry, back to you.
Yeah, no, absolutely no. I mean, so like the Warcry, like okay, so like this is what a Warcry card looks like, and there's basically no words on there. So you have a symbol that tells you how far the guy moves, what their defense is, how many hit points, how many attacks, the range of their attacks, all that kind of stuff is on there. And once you understand those icons, like the ones up here and the ones down here in the stat, it's not so bad. It's fine. But then there's also like little weird faction icons and all kinds of weird stuff.
And Fury, like, I've got like 2 of these bonus abilities that I think I buy with the additional dice. You know, you'll have the symbols off.
Yeah, exactly. These extra little symbols here. These little symbols over here, like in the actual instruction booklet, which I've got downstairs, it has got an entire page. It's just like, here's all the 2,800 different symbols. And you're like, which one is mine? It's the skull with the crown? Well, there's 4 of them.
Yeah.
Which one? Yeah,
I had to go through it, but I couldn't immediately identify it. So I was like, huh.
And I guess they're doing it so that it's got more cross-compatibility with multiple languages. But then when you buy these decks of cards that come in these like plastic sleeves, they come in every language. Like you get one of these, but then the thing that shows like the special abilities that they have, it's in Cyrillic, it's in French, it's in so that it didn't. I feel as if it didn't save them a ton of money, but maybe it did. I don't know. It's an odd system, and being a visual person, I'm okay with icons usually, but when I get to the point where I have to remember more than a dozen, it throws me off. So.
Yeah, and this was like right on the heels of when Warhammer Underworlds came out. Just another set of just symbols on the dice, but again, it's still just a 6-sider, so it's pretty easy to break it down. Yeah, it's a minor talking point, but this does look like a decent game. I could be into this.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said in the video on Friday, I really like the how dynamic everything is because there's so much movement, and I still really like Kill Team, but the last several games that I've played have a lot of times felt like I have not moved half of my army because they sit there and just shoot. You know
yeah, man. I watched your Hobby Time in the Murder Basement chat.
Right.
And I watch your videos because, well, I miss you, and it's like hanging out.
Sure, yeah.
But you were talking about all the different sides of things, and Kill Team not moving a lot, and then I started reading people's comments and critiques on that and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it a bit on Vince's show too, Vince and Tom's show on Warhammer Weekly on Wednesday. That's So I'm looking forward to it. I've got let's see, the terrain that came in the main starter box. I've got all of the mostly stone bits completely all done. I take that back. There's like a couple little tiny bits where I need to go in and just do a little bit of metal work, but otherwise all those parts are done. And then there's the more like wooden barricade parts of the terrain that are all really spiky. They look like this a lot. And those are 2/3 painted. So I've got to do some more dry brushing and again some metal work, and then those will be done. And then as I was cleaning yesterday in the basement, I also found some other Age of Sigmar terrain, like Azurite ruins, and I'm like, I bet I could also use these as well in Kill Team if I wanted, or Warcry. Well, I could use them in both, really, but probably better looking in Warcry. And so I'm going to probably work on those a little bit later on as well, maybe the next couple of weeks. So, I've been switching kind of more to terrain mode lately. I had done 4 different war bands, 2 for Star Breach, which I've posted already on Instagram, those little videos. And I've also got 2 war bands that I did for Planet 28, which you guys haven't seen yet because they'll be in the battle report. And then, lately I've just been doing terrain, which is fun. Do you find that because you're a little bit more scheduled because you've got the Twitch stuff, have you painted much terrain lately?
No, it's been a hot minute, but
Yeah.
so as I'm painting my Stormcast, I painted a set of Azurite runes to match them. Again, because I want to psychologically defeat my opponent on the battlefield by having my entire army painted and themed. Their bases are themed to something that doesn't match them, and they're
Sure.
forced to accept my narrative. So I need to
Force the
create
narrative.
scenery as well to throw on the table. And be like, well, this is all finished. So I think I might get that Warcry set. That's the mausoleum and stuff, the corpse
Yeah.
deck. I like all the graves and stuff, and I could combine that with the Azurite runes. But
No, that'd be very cool.
and then I'd have a set for Warcry too.
Yeah, that mausoleum set's really cool. Actually, it's I mean, just like that, those models they've had around for a while, but then they recently have also put them now into Warcry because it comes with a a 22 by 30 board as well that matches the artwork kind of. But
Yeah.
it's cool.
And man, I was with Warcry. So you're buying these boxed gangs, and everyone kind of has the same set of cards in that sense. It's just like with Warhammer Underworlds, where it's like these 3 models, that's your army. So I feel compelled to like convert them, and I don't want, if I've got the bird dudes, I don't want someone else with the same bird guys right out of the box fighting against them. So I was thinking, I'm like, all right, the Spire Tyrants have a Beastman in there already. They've got the little like Chaos Dwarf guy too, but I'm like, I have Beastgrave. I'm going to make a Beastman warband and just play them as Spire Tyrant rules. Throw the Myrmidon in there, and then Bestial Warlust can commence.
Yeah. No, it's like the thing that I think it's interesting also about Warcry is the fact that you can decide to go. You can just go completely straight out of the box, follow all the rules, follow the cards, follow that stuff. But you can also, even within the war bands that come, the ones that are the special chaos ones that are just for Warcry, you can still kind of modify those a little bit and tweak the way that you want. You can go heavier into. I mean, generally, if you want to go heavier in one specific model type, you end up having to buy a second box because they only give you so many models in the box.
That's fine.
But
add it to the
exactly.
file.
Right,
Who are we
exactly.
kidding? Yeah.
Yeah. But I also like the fact that you can go through and play other armies now too. Like because you right at the beginning they didn't really have those cards out, so you couldn't play Stormcast, you couldn't play, Rotbringers, you couldn't play whatever Nighthaunt, Gloomspite Gets, all that jazz. And so being able to put those cards out there for whatever Skaven, anything is really cool too. Because I mean, again, you can't use every Skaven model, but you can use these specific ones, and then you can kind of build your army depending on, and if you've already got a big Age of Sigmar or Skaven army, you basically just need to buy the deck of cards and then figure out how you want to build your army, and you've already got stuff done, which is kind of nice too. So
tight. I love it.
Indeed. Let me see here. Quiet Side says, "Please apply undercoats while we watch." I don't have any paint. Well, I take that back. I have a bottle of Oak Brown from the army painter here. That's the only paint I have. I don't have any water or any models to paint. This is again, like I said, the dining room.
I could paint something. Here.
Ooh, see, there's a blue guy.
Done.
Wow, that's the magic that makes it that makes you the painter, and there you go.
Yep, it's all in the wrist. Just a palm full of bronze. Just
James says the old Garden of Moor. Yes, that's the Garden of Moor was the mausoleum thing. So if you can still find, I think you probably still find that box out there here and there, depending on the store that you go to.
Heck yeah. Yeah, that would be a good find. That's a...
Yeah, absolutely. Randall says that they miss the vampire families. Like had the different
on card scenes and and the other.
That would be kind of cool in Warcry as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see that come back. There were like rumors of vampire pirates coming or something when I was watching Armor Weekly. There were a little supposition there, but like I would be into that, man. Whatever they are going to do with the Dark Elves when they come back into play, because it looks like they're doing every version of the elves again.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What were you were going to say something? I blocked you.
Oh no, I was just looking at my list of things. So a lot of us are looking for like different hobbies and stuff right now, different indoor activities.
Sure.
Personally, like I look at all of my painting and stuff, my regular scheduled events, and with no time outside, it's just like hard to maintain interest in those. So as a kind of an alternate, I started making chainmail. I just want to throw that out there. It's a very like another one of these fun meditative activities. It's like knitting, but you could save your life with this.
Sure. Yeah.
I stop a knife in theory, so it's been fun creating an entire bodysuit of armor for myself in these recent times. But yeah, just sit down there and clip the rings together. I just want to throw it out there. It's been fun for me. So
how far? Like how much have you made? Like, does it go quickly or not that quickly, or?
I don't know. I'd say it's somewhat tedious.
Yeah.
I've just done a few like bracelets and different weaves, and now I'm working on a bikini. So
nice. That's a good idea.
That'll be done in no time. Got like 3 different flaps. Got the flaps.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
Top and loin. So
right. The
it's been nice though. It really is like
because you spin it around like a thing and then clip it or something, right?
I'm just holding it in my hands. Some people you can hang it from like a crochet needle or something if you're doing the English like 4-in-1. The standard pattern where you're making like a sheet of it. But if I'm talking to almost 600 people, and someone's bored, I'm like, hey man, try this.
I mean, I've never been bored. Well, I mean, it's not true. In the last decade, I've probably never been bored because anytime that I'm like, I don't have anything to do, I've always got, Lord knows I've got models to paint or build or whatever. I've got a basement full of them, and I think that I appreciate that because especially now you do see people who are like, man, I'm just so bored. I've watched everything on Netflix. Like, well, number one, you probably haven't. Number one, which is fine. You don't need to do that. But number two, some sort of hobby might not be a bad idea, which is why I've been pushing this for years, even pre-pandemic. The whole concept of like, get yourself a thing that you can do, especially focusing with your hands and all that kind of stuff. I think it helps. It helps people out.
I prefer to spend my time constructively, so it's another one of those little activities. I wouldn't say I'm just getting tired of the same things. So finding a little bit of variety and putting a different spin on it.
Yeah,
that's always the way that I've been able to maintain interest. I paint to different levels. I do armies. I do entries. All this wide variety of levels and artwork and stuff. Yeah, I just want to throw it out there.
Yeah. No, I've it's interesting because there's a lot of people that I see like on Facebook and things like that, people I know that are not necessarily part of the hobby, and they're like, oh, I got so bored I started doing yard work, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't think I'll ever get that bored, thankfully, so I'm not concerned about that. But yeah, being able to find something to take up your time I think is useful. I've even been here and there. Well, I've been playing video games a little bit more, not a lot more, but on and off I play video games. Last couple of Fridays I've actually streamed me playing Grand Theft Auto 5 on the PlayStation.
I want to see your character for that.
Yeah, it doesn't really look like me, but it's
yeah.
But I just kind of drive around and get into trouble. And
I want to look like myself or what I think I look like, which
everybody that I've been seeing lately online is wearing basically like bright green and bright purple complete like unitards, covers their head and everything, and then they just have like big alien eyes. And they're just like this weird, and I don't know if it was like a special outfit that was only on sale for a certain time or whatever the deal is, but most people I run into look like just a nightmare, and I'm like, all right, well, that's fine. But
yeah, go blaze orange, man. Represent Wisconsin hunting culture.
That's a good idea. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I've been enjoying video games a little bit because the thing is, my brain won't shut off. And so if I do something like play a video game, I have this moment of like peacefulness or something. But yeah, I quickly feel like I'm wasting time enjoying someone else's creation when I should be creating myself.
Yeah. For me, honestly, and I'm not against other folks playing video games. I'm not against video games at all. I've played video games a lot for years. I just over the last decade have cut back a lot because I've been spending more of time, painting and modeling and stuff like that. And I do enjoy the video game thing as a getaway from time to time. But you're right. I do feel as if I'm not using my time as well because I can sit for 3 hours and play video games, or I can sit for 3 hours and paint or build or whatever. And at the end of both of those time periods, one of those things, I'll have something to show for it.
Yeah, at the end of
like a
one,
physical thing.
Yeah, I'll have waves and waves of dudes to push into waves of other dudes, and then the other one, I'm just left with a save file.
Right.
And
exactly.
a loss of vision. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, for me though, the vision thing, I've been doing it. I've been calling it Uncle Adam's paint break because, like I said, I paint like just a complete dumbass because I always paint like real close like this. I have to look over the top of my glasses and I paint like that.
See every detail, yeah.
And then like after like 2 hours, I get like this weird ice cream headache, which is like an eye strain thing. And I do use the magnifier sometimes, but it depends on the model. It depends on lots of things. So sometimes I go upstairs and then I'll sit and play video games a little bit because I'm not, this close in front of the monitor. I'm, 6 feet or whatever from the TV. And so that it allows my eyes to focus a little bit further away. So.
And that, if people are, to maintain binocular vision, all right, you paint miniatures all the time. You're looking at something 12 inches away. Mm-hmm. Look out the window, look at the ground, move 10 feet out, move another 10 feet out, gradually adjust your eyes back to long distance, just to maintain that flexibility. That's why like people would see me painting in the tattoo shop. You're going to go blind. I'm like, I'll make you blind. I don't use a magnifier or anything. And I do well painting models, but I also have, once I learned about the term binocular vision and how our eyes work, I'm like, they just become too relaxed in one position. It's like any other kind of weightlifting. If I only do chest, my fucking chest is just going to tighten and compress, so I need to work the opposite and pull back. So
right
every hour you're painting, set an alarm, or maybe your podcast just ended, stand up, take your neck back, look out a window, and then get back in that chair.
It's important
much longer. That's my advice.
To move around, definitely. That's for sure. Someone mentioned a little bit early on about, where did it go now? Hey, Adam, regarding using makeup products in painting, thanks for your video a long time ago about using makeup brushes for dry brushing. Life-changing hint. Kudos. Number one, thank you. And I was going to ask you, so I love using... that is my jam now for anything dry brush. I'm always using makeup brushes and stuff like that. Do you do that at all, or you probably don't do a ton of dry brushing per se.
I do on it comes in handy usually on bases for painting the dirt, or maybe I'm doing something faster and I'll do a quick kind of sketchy version. But I have like a pair of makeup brushes because once it becomes wet, sometimes you want another one that's super dry still.
Right, and they take a while to dry out.
Work like a charm. They're very soft and just pick up that much more. I think you can get a smoother result on let's say a dry brush like a Space Marine.
Yeah.
Something I'm going to approach, like on my Patreon, I have mostly what I've been building as a beginner category. It's just an encyclopedia of terms. Like there's a video on edge highlighting, layering, washes, all this stuff. And sometimes in some of those videos, I want to challenge myself, like, just because, like, paint a way that I can't paint by using like dry brushes and contrast paints. Don't use the traditional blending, and just see what I can pull off and present that to people. Because again, referring back to the Blanchitsu conversation, you don't have to paint like everybody else, so it's fun just to present these different options. And as long as you're creating some volume and gradient, it can make up for a lack of this perfect smoothness. A lot of times it's about, okay, I can throw down one color and dry brush on top of it, or I can take my time and dry brush like 8 layers and put washes in between that. What's going to give me a more smooth gradient. So, personal challenges, but
I've found recently like I just am not great at edge highlighting. And I've watched you do it before and it's astounding, but when I do it, sometimes it works okay. Other times I'm just my pressure's not quite right, so I get that kind of gloppy sort of edge, or my paint's not right or whatever. So I've been finding that rather than edge highlighting a lot, I'll just use a really, really super soft dry brush and I can get not the same effect, but I can get an effect that's close. And for me, it's easier and quicker. And so that's why I'm always looking for these weird little efficiencies. And yeah, the again, I will again say that I learned about makeup brushes from my friend Terry Latorco, who is a makeup aficionado, whereas I am not, because I'm not a makeup wearing person. But I must have been, I'm assuming like she had these brushes, and then she was just like, because she likes to paint, and she one day was just like, I wonder if these will work on my models, and then lo and behold.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's probably not the first person to come up with it, but she's the first person to tell me about it that I remember, and I was like, huh. And then I bought some brushes at like, I don't know, the dollar store or something, or Walmart, and really super happy with the results. And so I have a stable of them now.
I'm having a thought. I want to try taking a dry brush, dipping in a little bit of like chapstick or something, then paint, and seeing how it catches the volumes, how it works on the three-dimensional aspects of the model. I wonder if that would give me a smooth blended result by adding some kind of additive in there to, like sometimes in painting you'll mix in like a matte finish with your paint to make it semi-transparent and build blends with these layers of transparency. It's definitely a shower thought, but yeah, some kind of something that adds a little bit of viscosity in there, but you're still using this fat blunted brush.
Yeah. Huh. Like why chapstick though?
Just something like a Carmex or chapstick, because people use that to sculpt and get smooth results, so it doesn't stick to their sculpting tools. I've seen that, so that's probably why it's in my head. But
does that affect paint?
Some kind of like overbrushing, or I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, because our friend Josh, he showed me one time he was using one of those. It was like a green stuff roller, that to put the texture. Like you're building a base and you put down green stuff, and then you take the roller, or sometimes you use those stamps and stuff like that, and you get a texture. But he would always, excuse me, he would always put chapstick on it so that the green stuff wouldn't stick to the mold. Mm-hmm. Do you find that the chapstick then messes with the primer or the paint later on, or do you figure out a way to get it off?
I haven't tried it yet. It's the thing. I just like started thinking about these approaches to dry brushing and how I can get away with not blending.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
anyway, I'm going to try that after this call.
There you go.
See what happens.
I think it would be interesting to see. Like, I would love to see some. I think that the people who've been doing it for a while would be able to see the difference, but I wonder if the average person would be able to see the difference between using like a really big makeup brush to do like a zenithal highlight versus using an airbrush to do a zenithal highlight. Mm-hmm. If you put the two models next to each other and you say, can you tell which one was done? Because there are people out there that still to this day, and I totally understand it, they're like, yeah, I'm super interested in painting that way with that zenithal highlight, that white, to black, and then putting transparent colors over it, but I don't have an airbrush, or I can't have an airbrush because I live in an apartment, or whatever the deal is. And if there was an alternative, like a really big, one of those big, I think they're either called blush or foundation brushes.
Yeah.
It's seriously like, I don't know, a couple inches in diameter, the head on it. It's super soft and big. I love that brush. I use it all the time for terrain and for lots of different things, and it's like one of my favorite dry brushes. So, yeah. Anyway, it was really interesting. So,
cool.
But yeah, it would be interesting to see about if you could tell that, like, if the average person could tell the difference and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've done some speed painting on Twitch where I'll start the model off by airbrushing sepia tone. So it'll be like brown, tan, and ivory in kind of a zenithal progression. And then recently I just took all those colors, wet blended them together on the model. And there really was not a huge difference in the end result.
Sure.
Because I'm filtering over this zenithal, this monochromatic base coat.
Yeah.
That was like one of the first videos we did with Tabletop Minions, the Zombicide models, where I had them all prepped in just a blue progression. Like, depending on what undercolor you chose. And then later for that set, I did the Survivors in a similar fashion, but used yellow because I wanted them to look more lively.
Yeah.
So through all this filtering, I'm applying paint in like a glaze-like consistency. And I mean that in the sense of, think about pottery in reference to glazing. It is just an even sheet of tint.
Yeah.
Sometimes terms get mixed up and people use them a little differently, but that's what I mean. I'm just rolling an even filter of tone over an area that's blocked in with this whatever progression is there. And then those tones show through slightly, and then I'll go back with my brightest tone, ivory for example, and just edge highlight everything uniformly, no matter what its base color was. Red, green, blue, it all gets an ivory highlight, and it creates this kind of unique look. If anyone's seen those models I've done, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the concept of glazes specifically, and also to some degree contrast paints as well, is it's like if you took a black and white photo and then you had like a clear piece of colored plastic, let's say blue, colored plastic. It was just a sheet of, it's all one color blue, and you just held it and looked through at the black and white photo through that blue sheet. That's what you're doing when you are glazing over a zenithal like that.
That is the best way and quickest way to describe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then it looks like if you do it right, then it looks like you went through and wet blended like light green at the top of the cape, and then it went down his back and went all the way down to like a super dark green. But what you did was you sprayed him black, you sprayed him white from above, and then you slopped some contrast or some glaze on there, and now it looks all nice and blended in a color. And that's the easiest way to get those types of effects when you're trying to do tabletop stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that stuff a lot. I honestly, the majority of the stuff that I paint these days, I generally, unless it is, like, let's say I was going to paint some Space Marines, let's say they were Blood Angels, then they would start off primed probably like dark brown and then sprayed from above with red, and then I would go from there. But anything else, especially if I'm painting war bands where everybody has to look a little bit different because everyone's got different shirts and pants and whatever, or the zombies, then I'm going to do the zenithal, might be black and white, might be white to blue, might be whatever, depending on what I want to do, usually black or white to black. And then I can go through and then just use a lot of glazes and contrast and stuff like that. Like, I'm not almost ever using contrast the way that they teach you to use it.
Right. Me either.
I never use it just over like the gray seer color or the wraithbone. I'm always using it as like over zenithal, or I'm using it a lot on terrain these days.
It's
because it's so fluid. You can just
It's ink without the risk of turning into complete gloss if you use it straight out of the bottle. Mm-hmm. I don't use it as prescribed, but I do find myself using it a lot. It's just a wash that goes a further distance, and you get more bang for your buck out of it. Maybe not necessarily with a price tag, but like using gradual amounts, like in the same with an ink, you can get a lot done. It really packs a lot of pigment in there. But I wanted to say, I loved your description of glazing. Through teaching, I've learned that people listen to maybe the first one or two words you say, and then the last one, and then they wait for their turn to speak. So if you can explain, you can make a point in 5 words or less. That is how you teach. So black and white photo, colored piece of plastic over it. That is what glazing does. That's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, at least that's the way that I generally use it. Plenty of people out there are like, oh, I'm painting this and it's going to be all red, and then I'm going to use a red glaze in certain spots. And there's been times in the past where I've looked at it and gone, well, why are you putting red glaze on red paint? Like, that seems weird to me. But there's definite reasons, especially more for blending, when you're trying to make a gradient and the glaze becomes just an extra super thin kind of like blend that helps kind of tie everything together. But
it's a diffusion.
Exactly.
You're just adding.
I mainly use it for just coloring black and white, and it works out real well. So, yeah. Let's see here.
Reading the comments.
Yeah, listening to Sam makes me regret missing his Adepticon class that got canceled so much, says Kelly. I mean,
I regret it too.
How many classes were you going to teach this year? Do you remember?
I had I think I had 3, but 2 of them were 4.5-hour classes. So I was actually teaching for a very long time, but a more concentrated. I was going to do an intro to paint, just beginner painting, and then scenic basing, and then a class on OSL. I was really looking forward to that. I plan on recording those on my Patreon, or at least versions of them. Like I did a video on freehanding a skull.
Yeah.
Like so.
Oh yeah.
That's how you see the steps. I've taught that class like, I don't know, 8 different times now.
Mm-hmm.
So recording that all into a video, that's one of the like hour and a half long classes I run at a convention. And then I'm going to do my intro to basing as well. And it's funny, and I'm like, man, what do I put on this Patreon? I keep going, between being like confident and afraid that it's going to fail. I'm like, what can I pull from? Everyone's made videos about everything, and it's like, well, actually, I do have a whole bunch of courses that I've written and classes that I've taught. So there's a lot of beef right there to pull from.
And the other thing is,
brother.
Yeah. No, I've always, people have said that to me before. They're like, well, I'm interested in maybe getting into YouTube or something like that, but like all the videos have been made, and I'm like, well, number one, that's not technically true. I mean, there's always,
I know, the other side.
You're always going to come across something. But then the other thing is that just because someone made a video about dry brushing doesn't mean they made your video about dry brushing. They didn't make your take on it necessarily. And also, even beyond that, someone else may have made a great dry brushing video, but this viewer maybe doesn't ever watch them, but they do watch you. So if you make a class about dry brushing, a video about dry brushing, now they've learned it because they might not have ever caught that other one because they just weren't looking for it or whatever.
And I did make one because I was like, this needs to be all encompassing. When you walk into this temple, all the knowledge you need is here. This is the Library of Alexandria.
Yeah, exactly.
Zambies likes it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zam.
But yeah, I think it's well done. I think to look at, you want to look at other people's work to some degree when you're like making videos and stuff like that.
Yes.
But I don't watch a ton of other people's videos to like go and try to like compare or to sit there and say, oh, I want to make sure that I don't do this thing because someone else did a thing like it or whatever, because that's just puts you into it. Just kind of, I'm a big fan of just make the videos you want to make and put them out there, and if people like them, they do, and
Unchained. So, dude, yeah, I've been watching a lot of videos recently, but what I'm watching for is editing. I'm like,
no, there's that.
What did they do? The star fade? Or is that a
sure? When you're getting into video editing, like you're starting to do now, you do start looking at videos very differently. Like I look at a lot of videos and I go, how do they do the lighting and and I'm not even watching necessarily a miniature video. I'm watching I watch a lot of videos actually about people who make videos. I watch a lot of like filmmaking videos and stuff like that.
It's such a fascinating form, man. I always wanted to make like a music video. That seems like a fun realm to work in. But I'll watch like one of Scott's videos. That dude's like a master of editing. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, the close-ups and the quick cuts and smooth transitions versus the abrupt ones, and
it's a ton of work.
Yeah,
the stuff that he's doing is a ton of work.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And I've been sampling a lot of other people's work as well, and just looking at like the bumpers and everything. Like I like a general thing I see is people introduce the video, then kick into it. You do that a lot, and I do like Saturday morning inspiration videos that are kind of like you, are just like, all right.
I've always found that, like when I first started, the reason that I do the videos where I tell you what I'm going to talk about and then do a real short intro and then get into the video is because I come from a background of web design, and we are always taught as web designers that if you don't catch the attention of the person in the first it used to be something like the first 8 seconds. These days, it's like the first quarter second or something crazy like that. It's like, well, because, the internet's a lot faster than it used to be, too. It took 8 seconds for anything to load, so you'd be sitting there and sitting there.
Waiting
but nonetheless,
Janeway.
The idea to be able to get people hooked, because people will just leave a video. If they're like waiting, if they're like, well, this intro is going for 30 seconds now, like they'll just be like, I don't care. Mm-hmm. So if you just say, look, this is what you're about to see, and then you show them maybe a quick intro or a quick little thingy, and then you start showing the thing you said you were going to show them, then you're going to generally hold on to them a little bit better. If you just kind of goof around a lot sometimes at the beginning, I find that it doesn't help with people staying and watching the rest of the video. So I remember some of the things you had shared with me as you're learning,
what draws people to click on a thumbnail and stuff. People are more attracted to an advertisement with another human face on it.
Yeah.
But you see that a lot. People like, why is there like this guy's face in the title of every video? It's a proven success.
Yeah.
And Brent's looking good, and he's got great hair. So
that's true.
Show me more.
There is a. I've told this story before, like it's some the classes that I've taught about YouTube, and there's when I driving to work, back when I was driving to work, not working from home, there was a billboard for BioLife, those guys where you sell your plasma and all that stuff.
Yep.
So their location moved. Like they used to be one place in Appleton, and they moved to a different place or whatever. So they had this billboard up about, hey, it's got the BioLife logo, and it's like, hey, we've moved, our new location is blah blah. But there was just this picture of this blonde lady just sort of smiling and like staring out, like she wasn't giving plasma, she wasn't a nurse, she was just a blonde lady. And you would drive by and you'd be like, who is that blonde lady? And it's just part of our lizard brain where you just see this person, like, who's that person? And then you look at it, and that, like, if they could have just put all the text up there and not put the picture of the blonde lady, but the blonde lady or a blonde person, or a dark-haired person, or any person just looking at you has a tendency, as humans, you kind of go, And that's why people do that in thumbnails. It just helps people to
you need to be eyeballing someone in every thumbnail.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
Click here for lots of fights.
Exactly, yes.
And that's the clip. People are like, what? Then you get those views.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see. What else have we got? We got a lot of people having conversations here. Which
is yes. We got Goobertown in there. I saw Squidmore miniatures earlier, too.
Oh, really?
He swung in and said hello.
Nice.
And people were talking about Dana Howell. Her videos are great as well.
Yeah. Been seeing those, too. I just bought... Where is it? I just bought some... Vallejo, I can almost reach it.
Don't tip the chair up. Weight limit exceeded.
Glaze medium from Vallejo.
Oh.
And so it showed up, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I ordered that stuff. Why did I order it? And I couldn't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure it was because I was watching one of Dana's videos about night haunts, and so I think she mentioned the glazed medium in there, and I was like, I don't think I have any of that, so I ordered some. Now I need to go back and watch the video again and remember why. So, kids, when you get older, your memory won't work anymore.
Dude, write everything down, and then you forget you wrote it down. That's what I did yesterday.
Yeah, I keep notes in my phone all the time,
Dude,
and like anytime I have any idea for a video, I don't even let it sit in my brain for a second. I immediately grab my phone and put it in there, because if I go, oh yeah, that's a really good idea, let me put it in my phone, a minute later I will have forgotten it. So like right away I put it in my phone. Yeah, and then sometimes you go through your phone and you're like, I don't remember putting this in there at all. I think that my phone has got ghosts.
Or you write it in a code that you don't understand. Like I saved someone's phone number in my phone. It seemed like a great idea at the time, but the next day I had no idea who Stabby was.
Stabby?
I was like, who is Stabby? I think I misspelled the word Stacy, but yeah.
Oh.
Or maybe it's an autocorrect, but yeah, I saved someone's number as Stabby, and then I had no idea who they were. Probably best I'm not hanging out with Stabby, but...
You should call them and say, is Stabby there? And see if that's... I don't know. It might work out.
Yeah, he's here. Tons of fights. You called the right number. Yeah, I've got especially with YouTube ideas too, I'm just constantly like typing things down right before bed.
Yeah.
So when inspiration strikes.
You mentioned shower thoughts before. That's where a lot of different ideas come from, but then it's like really hard to like... I have, and I kid you not, I have literally written things with my finger on the shower door so I could remember when I get out of the shower. Yeah, I want to get one of those grease pencils and then just write it on the tile inside the shower and then have to clean it off later, I'm assuming. But yeah, that's not a bad idea too.
Never a wasted idea. I mean, this lampshade was blank before, but now it's holding all these ideas.
Exactly.
The wall and perfect.
Let me see here. Evidently, Zambi says that Stabby just needs a hug.
But it hurts. I need to put my chainmail on.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't know.
Russian bear fighting armor. Got to get some of that.
Someone earlier was mentioning that they were wondering when you were going to start streaming while wearing the chainmail bikini, and I'm like, I don't think that's definitely going to be a terms of service violation.
Yeah, that'll be a fans only. No, man, yeah. You can like do the body painting. So I'd hope I'd be able to wear a chainmail bikini, but I probably won't.
Well, that's probably not the best of ideas, but
I'm not making it for me. We'll put it that way.
There you go. That's true. Ajax Tar says you could try dry erase board in the shower with some wax/grease pens. Well, that's not a bad idea too.
I love it. Ooh, a dry erase board. Nice.
There you go. Yeah. Actually, I just found a dry erase board. I mean, I knew it was there, but I just found where I put it in the basement yesterday. So yeah. Let's see here. What else have we got? People talking about different types of mediums, which is fun.
Yeah.
Someone mentioning that you could either be Patreon or OnlyFans, I guess. It depends on how you want to do that.
Yep.
There's that.
Private Snapchat or something.
Yeah. People
talking Ukraine for tons of fights. I'm just going to keep leaning on that one now.
Using
You've reached arguments, right?
Cheap brushes. Someone says you need to put a chainmail band on your wicker hat. See, there you go.
Dude,
you just make the chainmail band that goes around the wicker hat.
The length of that Byzantine wrapped around the top. Ooh.
Yeah.
Never stop.
Let me see here. So someone just mentioned cheap brushes. Are you still a big fan of cheap brushes? I know we've had this conversation in the past.
Yeah. I still got the it's like that episode of The Simpsons where that counselor was like, everyone should be like Bart Simpson, and then everything Bart did was like not unique anymore and taken away. So I'll say it one more time. I use these size 6 Saks True Flow brushes. I buy them by like in the 40s on eBay for teaching classes. This is the green handle, but what you're really after is the golden Taklon bristle type, these yellow bristles. For whatever reason, they seem to have the right firmness and flexibility that works for me. I also have very expensive high-end brushes that are natural hair for smaller details. Sure. I like large synthetics, small naturals. I find with the natural hairs, I know it sounds, with the larger hairs, they don't hold their shape as much. And a good example I can use is my own hair, right?
Sure.
Got a large amount of hair, it's going to flop down, but the tighter I pull it, the more it holds its sharpness and detail. So yes, I've got a nice Raphael Rosemary & Co. Series 22. I like the Monument Bomb Wick igniters. That's what I've been, because it's my nicest brush right now. That's what I've been using. But a variety of brushes. I'm probably just going to go with Monument for everything from now on because
I haven't tried any. I haven't tried any of the Monument. Yeah, I haven't tried any of the Monument brushes yet. I've got the paint line, the Pro Acryl paint line. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
But I haven't tried any of the brushes yet. I should probably look online a little bit, maybe. I'm mainly still a synthetic guy. I mean, I have a video about it recently, but I want to try to get better with maybe with natural brushes, but again, it would be more for detail, and I don't paint tons and tons of detail. Although, as I'm thinking about this, it might have been better for me to use a natural hair brush when I was trying to do my freehanding recently.
Yeah.
Than using a synthetic. That might have been maybe a bit of a pro strat right there.
Once it's pulled tighter and the length of the hair is shorter, it maintains its detail a lot. But yeah, everyone was talking about the Winsor Newton Series 7, I got a 4-pack, and I found the larger brushes, as I'm sweeping with it, it's just staying like this. And I just had to do more. I'm so lazy. Everything's at elbow length, and it's still too far away. I can't open a new pot of paint. I can't straighten my brushes out. I got to eat it, and so. Saving microseconds, man, that could add up to an extra day of life painting, so worth it.
I do own some Rosemary & Co. brushes, and I own one of those like fancy schmancy GW, like the Artificer brushes, the real... Yeah. I've never used it, though, because I've always been like nervous about it, but the Rosemary brushes I've enjoyed. I mean, a little bit, like in the little that I've used them, I'm like, okay, I see this, but I always again feel like if I don't spend a whole bunch of time cleaning them afterwards, then I I'm going to waste them or whatever. It's kind of like some people don't like to use airbrush because they're like, then I have to clean the thing afterwards. And I'm like, I've found that I don't have to spend that much time cleaning, or else maybe what I think of as that much time is, different than what somebody else thinks about that, what how much time that is. You know what I mean?
Let me share the secret. Here's how you don't clean your airbrush. Keep it in a cup of water.
Yeah, no, that mine's.
I've had
both
this
my
airbrush
airbrushes,
for like 7 years. It's stainless steel. Keeps everything soft and mashable. So if I don't want to mess with that after every session, I don't have to. I clean that thing maybe 6 times a year, maybe.
Right now, both my airbrushes are sitting in fluid downstairs. Like that's they in between airbrush sessions. You're honestly, your airbrush should be wet.
I should also add I have pieces of trash holding the dust out too. This is just some brass etch packaging because I'm fucking Oscar the Grouch or something. But
sure, yeah. No, it's I'm a big fan of just like. I'm just a big fan of using the just keeping the brush wet, because then the paint will never dry on the inside. You know what I mean? Because that's what clogs stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's a good idea. VJ Morph wants to know what brand of paint tastes best.
God, I've heard the Scale 75s are kind of sweet, but I have not tasted this flavor. At this point, my taste buds are just all dead from eating paint. It's like you're asking a smoker, like, what's that smell like? Do you like salt? Would you like more? Yeah, sure. I can't feel anything anymore.
Yeah.
I'm licking the brush to make the bristles come back to a point. I'm not actually like eating a whole lot of paint. It's kind of
I'm trying to teach myself to do that better with. I see other people do it with, like, I know when I watch Dana Eni Minis on Twitch, she's always wearing like a glove, like a nitrile or whatever glove, and I think I see Vince do this too. Is that like you paint on this part of the hand just to get it a little bit back to a point or whatever?
Yep.
And the upside is I used to try to do that on a piece of paper, but then the paper sucks up too much paint, and then now you don't have as much paint on your brush. So
there's something to that with your skin taking some of the medium or some of the pigment out and making it easier to work with. There's some theory behind that. I just
oils? Do you think oils
palette to model and just know how to balance things. But
yeah. I would almost wonder if like another smaller wet palette that you just use for like kind of repointing your brush, you know what I mean? And then I don't know, that maybe seems like a lot of work. I don't know.
Right.
Got things to think about though. Science.
There's a little accessory. Yeah, you need a little like hobby glove that you strap over your hand, and it's got like a little V groove you can wipe the brush in. Start a Kickstarter.
Yeah. No, VJ Morph, Eni Minis, her name is Danny, not Dana. Dana and Danny are two different people. He was just asking there. I want to make that clear. Let's see here. Aaron says the P3 tasted best. It is safe to eat per EU standards. Oh, well, there you go. Matt says at least that in his 2-brush blending classes. Well, that's good.
Well, that's
Max
good.
Fitzgerald says, I put my paints on a nearby hairless rat. It improves the flow. That's very convenient that you have a nearby hairless rat.
I can never find a rat when I'm trying to paint, man. I need to get more rats.
I think we may have mice in the basement, but none of them probably are hairless. I don't know. I could be wrong. Well, it's 11 o'clock in my neck of the woods and also in yours there, Sam. So I want to, again, thank you for coming and hanging out with us today. I think that this was not as much of a answering questions kind of every other Sunday show as usual. But that's because we had things to talk to with each other. Usually it's just me talking to chat, so I'm able to answer more questions. So
yeah, I tune in a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, man. It's cool to be a part of it and hang out with all the minions, all the warmongers out there.
Sure, yeah. No, I think I like being able to. I think that it's different. It's nice to be able to kind of break things up a little bit. Obviously, in this time when we're all kind of not being able to see each other as much in person and stuff. So this is also super cool. So yeah, you should follow Sam on all of the things. He's on Twitch. He's on Patreon. He's on Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, all you do is go in the search bar, type in "the truth," and I'm the first result. So
yeah, there you go. That'll work out. Or go into Google, type in Sam Lenz, and I'm sure you'll find the majority of that stuff as well.
I'm out there, man, stuck on the web.
Yeah, actually, absolutely. Well, cool. So we'll be back. I'll be back in 2 weeks with the whatever this is called, Every Other Sunday show. I hope everyone stays safe and
don't forget,
and stays sane and has a good time, and keep painting and keep just keep learning. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, challenge yourself, find something new, don't get bored.
Absolutely. All right, I'm gonna try to get over here and do that. Have a good day.
All right, bye.